What's going on, guys? Matty G back here with you on Football with Flags. Thanks so much for joining us. We've got a special preview in store for you today on the AFC Asian Cup beginning in January of 2024. So make sure you stick around as we go over each group. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Let's get to it. Now, of course, I'm sure most of you saw on the front slide, the title does say 2023 on it. This competition was supposed to happen this past summer, but of course, due to extreme heat, along with some other circumstances, it has been postponed to January of 2024, starting on the 12th and running all the way through February. So a similar situation that we saw with the World Cup back in 2022. Again, though, it is just the second time that we're going to see 24 teams involved in this competition. Get things started off in Group A with Qatar, your defending champions from the 2019 campaign. A disappointing run in their World Cup debut, but they've got a new manager now. It will be interesting, though, to see how many players from that World Cup roster are involved in this competition, and can they repeat? We saw this team score 19 goals in the 2019 tournament and only concede one. As for China PR, the runners-up twice in 1984 and in 2004. They haven't made it past the quarterfinals, though, since that 2004 run. Keep an eye out for star player Wu Li, who has 30 goals for his country. As for Tajikistan, the only debutants in this tournament, they're currently ranked 110th in the world right now. The most goals any player has on their current roster is 20. They've got a decent amount of experience in their midfield, but it will be interesting to see how the rest of this roster fares in their first competition. As for Lebanon, the two-time participants in 2000 and in 2019 have never made it past the group stage. However, keep in mind, in 2019, they had Qatar and Saudi Arabia in their group. Starting things off in Group B with Australia making just their fifth appearance in this competition, as they were not a part of the tournament until 2007. They are the 2015 champions and have made a run to the quarterfinals or better in every single tournament that they've been involved with. This is a team to certainly keep an eye out for coming up in January. As for Uzbekistan, they've made 8 straight appearances. They finished 4th in 2011. They've reached the knockout stages every single time since 2004. And keep in mind, too, they lost to Australia in penalties in the round of 16 in the 2019 tournament. As for Syria, making just their 7th appearance, they've never made it past the group stage. They've got a fairly decent team in terms of experience with their caps. They're currently ranked 93rd in the world, but this is a tall task with the group that they face. As for India, making just their 5th appearance ever, they were runners-up in the 1964 edition. They've never made it out of the group stage since, and their win against Thailand in 2019 was the first victory that they had since the 1964 campaign. Moving on to Group C, where we'll begin with Iran, who were absolute studs back in the early days of this competition with a three-peat in 1968, 1972, and in 1976. They've only ever been bumped out of the group stage once, making the knockouts every other time they've been involved. They had a run to the semifinals in 2019, but keep your eye out for Mehdi Taremi, their striker, with 38 goals and 70 caps. I think he'll play a big part in how well this team does. As for UAE, the United Arab Emirates, a cold spell between 2004 and 2011. They were runners-up in 1996, but have had a couple of really good finishes recently, finishing 3rd in 2015 in the semifinals in 2019. As for Hong Kong, they've had 3 top 5 finishes way back in the 50s and 60s. They haven't qualified since 1968. This team currently ranks 148th in FIFA's rankings, and the most goals that any player has on their current roster is 3. As for Palestine, making just their 3rd appearance ever, they qualified in 2015 and in 2019, yet they've yet to win a game in this competition and only scored 1 goal so far. On to Group D, where we'll begin with Japan, the highest-ranked team in the world from Asia at number 19. They certainly should be ranked higher, though, in my opinion. They're 4-time champions of this competition, the most successful nation ever so far, winning the competition in 1992, 2000, 2004, and in 2011. They finished 2nd in 2019, losing to Qatar 3-1 in the final. They're making their 10th straight appearance. As for Indonesia, they made 4 straight appearances between 1996 and 2007. They're currently ranked 147th in the world, and Arianto, their defender, has 53 caps for this side. That's the most by any player on this team. The next highest is 30, so fairly young and inexperienced side. As for Iraq, the 2007 champs of this competition, making their 10th appearance. They've featured in the knockout stage every single time except once. They got knocked out in the round of 16 in the 2019 edition. That's the worst result that they've had since 1972. As for Vietnam, they've had two previous appearances in 2007 and 2019. They made runs to the quarterfinals, though, in both of those competitions. The question is, can they do it again, though? They're currently ranked 95th in the world and have a massive amount of players considered, both on their current roster and recent call-ups. So a lot of decisions to make for this Vietnam Federation. On to Group E, and a pretty interesting group at that. We'll start with South Korea, the two-time champions of this tournament, winning it in 1956 and in 1960. They haven't hosted this competition since that 1960 campaign. They finished first, second, or third 10 different times in this tournament. They made a run to the quarterfinals in 2019, but this team certainly expects more and should so for the 2023 edition. As for Malaysia, making their fourth appearance, their first since 2007. They've been bumped out of the group stage all three times prior. They've got a decent amount of caps on this squad spread across the board, but their goalkeeper position is very interesting. They're considering probably 5 or 6 guys, but the most caps any of those players have is 14. As for Jordan, making just their 5th appearance, they've made it to the quarterfinals twice. They're currently ranked 84th in the world. They did lose to Vietnam in penalties in the round of 16 during the 2019 edition. As for Bahrain, they're making their 6th straight appearance. They finished 4th in 2004, and they also lost in the round of 16 during the 2019 cycle, losing to Korea 2-1. On to the last group, Group F. We'll start off with Saudi Arabia, who are the 3-time champions of this tournament, winning in 1984, 1988, and in 1996. Keep in mind, this team finished runners-up in 1992 and in 2000, so they almost had 5 straight titles. However, they did have a disappointing run, getting bumped out in the round of 16 in the 2019 edition to Japan, and got bumped out in the group stage the 2 previous editions. So this team certainly expects more this time around, considering the impressive result they had against Argentina in the World Cup, and just how much talent we know that this side has. As for Thailand, they finished 3rd in 1972, had a tough time getting through the group stage between the years of 1992 and 2007. However, they did make it to the round of 16 in the 2019 campaign, but lost to China. As for Kyrgyzstan, 2019 was their first ever appearance. They did make it to the round of 16, but lost 3-2 in extra time. Very, very close. They're certainly hoping to build off of that impressive first run. They're currently ranked 96th in the world. As for Oman, they're making their 5th appearance in the competition. They got to the round of 16 as well in 2019. That was the first time they had ever made it to the knockouts, but they lost to Iran 2-0 in the first round. They had a recent game against the U.S., had a couple of decent chances in that side. They're a fairly young group. The question is, though, how much potential do they have? Well, guys, hope you really enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Please let us know down in the comments as well who you're rooting for and any recommendations. We've got plenty of videos and content coming your way in the future, but if you've got anything that you're curious about, let us know as well. We'll try and fit that in. Guys, I hope you have a blessed day. We've got more coming your way in the near future, so take care, and we will see you soon. Peace.